What's your name?
Ford.
Have you a surname?
No.
This group seems rough around the edges. But you seem clever. Hopefully we can make this work.
I think we should be able to. Yeah. I mean, I think amongst all of us, we should be fine.
Let's make it work.
We'll make it work.
Have you had these magic abilities your whole life like a kid?
No. Again, fairly recently.
Something happened?
understand.
Well, good morning, stream. Hey, morning, Lady Temeraire. How we doing? Hey, morning, Ari. Congratulations. That's friggin' awesome. I have a few friends who are in academia in one form or another, and they've all been coming to the end of their terms or whatever. One of my D&D players just finished her term and got, I guess, straight A's or whatever, like all the way through the entire term. Jesse, who, if you ever watched the Natural 20 Proof show, was the dungeon master and also works with me and also plays D&D with me still, just got accepted to his master's program, so he's going to be getting his master's degree and becoming a friggin' professor. So, all good things. So I'm happy for you. I never stepped through the hallowed halls of academia. Thank you, Ari. You make things easier on my tired brain. Poor, tired brain would be.
At least not yet. Why am I not surprised? Said Sun. Then she had a sudden thought. Is that why she forgot everything before the forest? Before Shuiniu? Alburn looked mildly surprised. Yes, that was remarkably quick of you. She forgot everything? Sun felt a sudden chill creeping down her back, just as Alburn had described in the story. What happened to her? It must have been bad to make her forget everything. It was bad, said Alburn softly, but you shall learn. One day. Sun took a deep breath, but she did not argue. She had learned her lesson by now, that Alburn chose the order of his story carefully, and this one would not have been nearly as captivating if he had mixed it up in the telling. I am sorry for my anger earlier, she said. You did not deserve that, and I was wrong. I thought you were lying to me, but everything you have told me so far, it was merely a beginning, the introduction to a larger tale. Alburn smiled, but it looked a little guarded. You are not wrong. Sun snorted. I notice you do not say whether I am right. Very well. Can you give me your best guess of when we will reach the end of the story? End, said Alburn. Who said the story has ended? I mean the end of Mag's story, you twit, said Sun. Then her eyes went wide. Albern, has she died? I mean, in truth, not the way she died when Kaita killed her. Is she still... A knock came at the front door. Sun jumped, but Albern's mouth twisted. There is my friend, he said. No, wait, cried Sun. Answer me. You must tell me before you open that door. It is too hard to answer, said Albern. Say yes or no, cried Sun. Why is that hard to answer? I suppose we shall have to see. He went to the door and peered through a viewing hole before turning and winking at Sun. I am happy to report it is not your family's guards. This is the tavern's owner, or former owner, I should say, and of course our third partner in this venture. Third partner, thought Sun. Albern swung open the door. Two people entered. First was a large woman with as much fat as muscle on her body. She had a thick jaw and a missing finger on her right hand. But the second woman caught all of Sun's attention. She was much slimmer, and the hood of her green cloak was cast back to reveal Dortian features, hair cut a few fingers above the shoulders in a practical style. Her skin was flawless, without a blemish or scar to be seen. She looked to be around 20 years old. Sun froze. Albern fixed her with a careful look. Hey, wife.
Reminder that I go into a meeting at 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You gotta make Desi's lunch as well, because he's going on a field trip.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Can you text me a little list of what you usually make him, and I'll put it together?
I kind of just throw it together based off whatever's in the...
Then I will throw it together.
Okay, love you.
Bye.
Son, he said, indicating the larger woman. This is Zhaozhe, the former owner of the tavern, and this here is Chow, a brewmaster who has graciously agreed to partner with me in purchasing and running this place. Chow. Sun's wildly racing suspicions were confirmed in an instant. That was the false name Mag had used in the tales. This was Mag, the wanderer, the uncut lady, or at least as far as anyone knew. She could not speak. She could hardly breathe. This was not like meeting Albern in that tavern far away. This was like meeting an elf, dangerous and extraordinary and entirely debilitating, for what could one do in the face of such incredible power? Her mind began to work again, but slowly. If Mag was going by the name Chow, that meant she was pretending to be someone else. And she and Albern also seemed to be pretending not to know each other very well. Sun did not know why, but of course, she would not give away the scheme. I am very pleased to meet you, Chow, she said. And you as well, Zhaozhe. Pleased, I am sure, said Zhaozhe with a nod. Then she turned to Albern. You got my gift, I see. Albern raised the mug of ale he had been in the middle of. We did, and we thank you kindly for it. A fine concoction indeed. Zhaozhe scoffed. You need not try to save my pride. I did not brew it, after all. It was what I could find that was fast and cheap, and that means it is not good as a rule. We both know our mutual acquaintance here makes far better stuff than that swill. You have the rest of the money? Of course. Albern reached to his belt and pulled out one of the thick purses he had received earlier. Then he paused and looked to Sun. Son, I mentioned before that you might find good use for your money by the end of the day. Would you like to join Chow and me in purchasing this tavern? An hour ago, this might have rendered Sun insensible, or may have caused her to faint straight away. But now, with Mag herself standing in the room, the absolute absurdity of the situation barely registered. Why not? She said. I have no other plans. Wonderful, said Albern. We shall sort out the details later, and I shall recover your portion of the payment. Zhaoja and Mag both looked at Albern like he was sun-touched, but Zhaoja took the purse, opened it, counted the contents, and closed it up again. "Very well," she said gruffly. "May you find better fortune here than I did." "Very well," she said gruffly. She said gruffly. "May you find better fortune here than I did. But then again, with her crafting your drink." She tossed her head at Mag. "Well, I wish you good fortune in any case, and I am off." She strode out the door, and Albern went to close it behind her. The whole time, Sun could not stop staring at Mag. Once the door was closed and they were alone again, she finally tore her gaze away to look at Albern. "What in the dark below?" "Now calm down," said Albern. Mag, meanwhile, stood with her arms folded. At Sun's outburst, she arched a brow. "And who exactly is this?" she asked Albern. "Chow," said Albern. "This is Sun of the family Valgoon." "Valgoon?" said Mag. "That is a name of Dulmish nobility. What are you doing purchasing a tavern halfway across the world?" Sun barely glanced at her, but kept her gaze locked on Albern, awaiting his answer. Albern gave Mag a weak smile. Though both of your manners seem to have fled, let me assure each of you that the other is pleased to make your acquaintance." "Albern, what is going on?" said Sun, very nearly in a shriek. Mag frowned at Albern. "I thought your name was Kanahari." Sun waved a hand. "Of course, you were using fake names. Kanahari, I need answers." Albern's expression grew troubled. "Sun." Now Mag was looking stern. "A fake name? Why would you give me a fake name? If you are not Kanahari, then who are you?" That froze Sun in place. Albern shook his head slowly. "Chow," he said, "if you would give me a moment to speak with our new partner." Mag folded her arms. "I suppose," she said, "but make it quick, and you had better have a good explanation when you return. I do not take well to being swindled." "Well do I know it," muttered Albern as he came and gently took Sun's arm. "Out back, if you do not mind." "What in the dark below is going on?" hissed Sun, as she allowed him to pull her out into the alley behind the tavern. "A great many things," said Albern. He made sure the door shut behind them, and then he listened at it, as if making sure Mag had not followed them. "But here is what you must know. Her name is Chow, so far as she or you or anyone else is concerned, and she knows me as Kanahari. Though I suppose I shall have to tell her my true name is Albern, now that you have said it, and it has not seemed to harm her." Sun glanced at the door. "She does not know your real name?" "She does not," said Albern. The sadness in his eyes was one she had seen often, every time he had spoken of Mag's darkest moments in the story. "But why?" said Sun, shaking her head. "There is a long tale behind it," Albern began. "You cannot mean to make me wait." He held up a hand. "Stop and listen to me. There is a long tale behind it, which I shall tell you in full. But I will give you a short answer now because you deserve it and you will need it. And it will help you help me in the way we must treat her now. You know something, at least, of the end of Mag's story." "I thought I did," said Sun, "though now it seems it was not the end at all." "But it was," said Albern, and he had never sounded more earnest. "Something terrible happened, more terrible than any tale could convey, though I will try. And when it did, that was the end of Mag's story. She lost who she had been, the person I met in my youth, who I followed from mercenary company to mercenary company, and through the Necromancer's War. I was with her when it happened, and I've been with her ever since, helping her as much as I know how." "So she forgot you," said Sun slowly, piecing it together. "Just as she forgot Nikau and Orla because Kaita killed her. She remembers nothing at all now because when she died, really died, it was bad enough that she forgot everything. Like in the woods near Shuinyu." "Yes," said Albern. "And that is why you told me this tale," said Sun. "So I would understand when I met her." "It is one reason." A horrible thought struck Sun. When she voiced it, she could not speak above a whisper. "Does she remember Sten?" Albern did not answer, but his eyes filled with tears, and Sun's own tears fell freely down her cheeks, and she tried vigorously to scrub them away. "We have to tell her," she said. "You should have told her already." "Do you think I did not try?" said Albern. "Please, Sun. I have been with her for a long while since it happened. I have thought of nearly everything you could think of, and I have tried it. You must trust me in this. If I say you must not speak of something or you must treat her a certain way, I beg you to believe me. When I've tried to tell her of her past life, it has caused her great harm. She becomes a wreck for days, and when the spell passes, she forgets it all anyway. Please, Sun." Sun could hardly understand him. All she wanted to do was run inside and tell Mag everything that had happened in Albern's stories. But she mastered herself, and finally she nodded. "Very well. I believe you." "Thank you," said Albern gently. "Now let us return inside before she takes it into her head to come out here and trounce us both." "So she can still fight?" said Sun. "Like you would not believe," grumbled Albern, and he led her back in. Mag, Chow, was waiting for them in the tavern's common room, her arms still folded across her chest. She looked expectantly at Albern, and he gave her a disarming smile. "And now then," he said, "I should tell you something I was planning to reveal at a more opportune time. As Sun here has already revealed, my real name is Albern. I am of the family Telfer." Chow's eyebrows rose. "Telfer? A noble as well, but this time of Kalenton. What in the dark below is going on here?" "Nothing nefarious," said Albern. "We are both somewhat out of favor with our families. In fact, that is how Sun came to my attention, for she faced similar troubles to the ones I experienced when I was her age. Those troubles are what led me to take the name Kanahari long ago. But Sun met me by my real name, and I never told her another one." He looked to Sun. "From now on, when we are in front of others, I will request that you call me Kanahari," he said, and then turned back to Chow. "And when it is the three of us, it would please me if you called me Albern." A shadow passed over her expression, but it was soon gone. "Albern," she said, "like the tales from Kalenton history." "Just so," said Albern with a pleased smile. "I chose the name after my wedding." Again a shadow came over Chow's face, and this time it stayed there. She placed a hand to her forehead, and it was trembling. "Chow?" said Albern, worry in his voice. "What is it?" "Nothing," said Chow. She smiled weakly at him. "A dizzy spell. It is so damnably hot outside. But very well. If Albern is your wedding name, then I vow never to use anything else unless you ask me to." "Thank you," said Albern, bowing his head. Sun could hear the relief in his voice. Whatever had come over Chow briefly, it seemed to have passed. Was this what he meant when he said she would have spells when he tried to tell her of her old life? "Now, as for you," said Chow, nodding to Sun. "Albern here says you are to be a partner, and I trust him, but you seem a bit young to me. What do you know of running a tavern?" Sun looked to Albern for guidance, but he merely held out an encouraging hand as if to coax her. "Nothing," she said simply. Chow's mouth twisted. "Honesty is an admirable trait, but you may need better qualifications." "She is young," said Albern, "but she is not much younger than you, and in our wanderings together I have found her more than capable." Sun had to duck her head to hide a sudden flush in her cheeks. "Very well," said Chow with a sigh. "Tell me, girl, what did you think of the ale here?" Sun's lip curled. It was awful. Sun's lip. Sun's lip curled. It was awful. "I agree," said Chow. "Would you like some of mine? I brought a wagon of it when I transported Zhaozha here." Suddenly, Sun's mouth was watering. "I would like that very much," she squeaked. From the corner of her eye, she saw Albern's amusement at her wonder-struck expression. Chow led her outside, where there was indeed a wagon of ale casks waiting. Together, the three of them got all of them down to the cellar, except for one barrel, which Albern set up behind the bar. Chow tapped it, and they poured 3 mugs. Chow set 2 right away, and Albern joined her, but Sun took a moment. She sniffed it, and the bubbles seemed to break in the exact right way to fly up her nose, tickling her and making her giggle. Finally, she tipped the mug back, taking a sip. It. Sky above, Sun wanted to weep. Never had she tasted anything like it. It was like honeyed sunlight poured from bouncing clouds of gossamer, like the clearest river water kissed by ocean breezes and smoked in the cleansing glow of a good campfire. And yet it was heady and intense, with the barest hint of, was it brandy? Some sort of fine, sweet liquor, and the taste of it weakened her knees. A sip turned into a swallow, and then into a long, long draught. Before Sun knew it, the mug was empty. She stayed there for a moment, eyes closed, feeling every drop of it sliding down her throat and into her gut. When at last she opened her eyes, Chow was looking at her expectantly. "That," whimpered Sun, "that is the most wondrous thing I have ever tasted, by a wide, wide margin. I had heard from Albern that you made fine ale, but this is so far beyond anything I could ever have imagined." Chow turned to Albern with a wide grin. "I suppose she might work out." Chow turned to Albern with a wide... to Albern with a wide... Albern with a wide grin. With a wide grin.
Yeah, we're gonna have to live with that.
Chow turned to Albern with a wide grin. "I suppose she might work out after all." They shared a laugh, and then their talk fell to the tavern and its construction, and where they could get tables and what sort of chairs they all preferred. Then they went upstairs and claimed their rooms. Sun chose an excellent one on the front corner with windows on 2 walls, and then back downstairs where they talked of ale and wine and guests and ale and hiring help and ale again. Never did Albern or Chow talk over Sun, and they listened attentively whenever she gave ideas, even when she spoke hesitantly. And they argued for and against her ideas as vigorously as for their own plans. Sun could not believe this was real. Here were 2 of the most significant figures of her favorite legends, And she was working with them. And she was And she was working with them. They were partners. No one could know how long it would last, of course, but Sun promised herself to cherish every moment of it. At last, the night wound to a close. They had all had more than a few cups of ale, and their conversation had turned giddy and giggling. Finally, Chow rubbed at her eyes. "I should sleep, or I will make even more of a fool of myself than I already have," she said. "That is not possible," said Sun at once. Chow arched an eyebrow. "Oh, do you mean I could not appear more foolish?" As Sun's cheeks flamed, Alburn laughed aloud. "I think she meant you could not make a fool of yourself," he said. "This one's head is full of courtly graces, but she is new to tavern conversations. Forgive her." Chow's mouth twisted in a wry smile. As she stepped around from behind the bar and towards the stairs, she paused. Slowly, she reached out a hand to Sun. Sun tentatively took it and found her wrist wrapped in a grip like iron. "It is a pleasure to know you, son of the family Valgoon," said Chow. "Forgive my doubtfulness before. I look forward to our partnership." "As do I," said Sun, barely able to choke the words out. Chow smiled, and then she gave Alburn a nod. Finally, she turned and climbed the stairs towards her newly chosen room. Sun and Alburn remained in the common room to clean up some of the mess they had all made. After a while, Sun looked over at him. "Why all this, Alburn? Why did you pick me? I thought it was for an adventure, and now you have me running a tavern. What is the purpose behind it all?" Alburn's lips puckered. He went behind the bar, took up a rag, and began to wipe off the small splashes of ale they had spilled. "What I told you before is true," he said. "I saw a young child of nobility who seemed to hate her life, and I felt sympathy for your plight. But you are right, there is more behind it. I have told you that Mag was happiest in Northwood, with her inn and with Sten. So many dark things happened after that, and I felt she deserved a return to that happiness. I thought this might be a way to give her such a gift." He stopped wiping the bar and looked up at her. Sun met his gaze, but her breath caught in her throat. "But that does not explain you, of course," said Alburn. "I wanted to make sure you care about Chow, because I wanted you to want to stay here with us and hear the rest of the story. I need someone else to know the whole truth of it. I cannot tell the whole world everything. That would be violating Mag's trust, and I vowed to her I would never do that. But one person should know everything, right down to the last. And I told you the story the way I did, jumping back and forth throughout Mag's life, so that when you met Chow, you would care enough about her to help me keep her secret." Sun nodded. "I will," she said. "I swear it." "Thank you," said Alburn quietly. "At first, I thought the burden of this story was mine to bear alone. Then, when I learned the truth about Mag, I thought she would remember our deeds long after I had been laid beneath the dirt. But now—" He gave a vague gesture towards the stairs. Sun nodded. "Now you are the only one," she said. "The only one who remembers everything." "It is a heavier burden than I thought it would be," said Alburn. "So I thank you, son, for the help you have been on the road so far, and for being willing to listen to an old man's story." Sun lifted the broom and pointed it at him like a sword, frowning. Willing? You would do better to call it demanding. I want you to resume the tale tomorrow, bright and early. He eyed the stairs again. I will not do so in Chow's presence. But whenever we have a moment alone, yes, I will continue the tale. He smiled at her. And I will do so with pleasure. Sun lowered the broom again and began to sweep. You better had.
Okay. Chapter 50 done. I'm going to set this to upload, and then I got to go make it a lunch for the kids and get them to the bus. So I'm going to take a slightly longer break than I normally do, but then I'll be back right before 8 o'clock. Okay. Be right back. I'm going to leave you with some music.
Can I confide in you for something?
Oh, yes, please.
I'm a little unnerved about this sword. Would you stand watch for a second?
It seems like a bad idea, sure.
Nothing like this. I've never seen anything like this eye before. Only in that dream where Vander was holding it, pushed it in his chest. But this is smaller. This sword just seems to take in things.
Talk about or don't remember properly, I think.
magic's new to me. This sword is new to me. I didn't have most of this all of my life. All I had was my words to get out of situations, to try and heal conflict, to try and outsmart somebody. And now all of a sudden I have this power and I feel like it's a shortcut and I've been cheating myself. Eldridge, leave no trace.
No, I'm taking this.
Put it back or I'll
This isn't worth my time. I'm taking this.
down.
Ford, put that fucking thing down.
I will fucking leave both of you here. We're either a team or you're working for yourselves. Decide.
As the sleep takes you, and the darkness of your dream state alleviates you the stress of the day, your aching muscles turning numb, physical form and consciousness now removed and aimless.
said that you did your own dental work at one point. Did you do that on purpose?
When I was younger, they used to make fun of my teeth. And kids can be cruel, so I decided to take away the target that was most easily available to them.
Did you grow up with people who did not have tusks like yours, so you were different?
Yeah, at the time, there weren't any others like me. So, I feel like I was especially picked on for my teeth.
Do you still feel the same way about your teeth?
Not necessarily. It just kind of became a habit.
So you have to continue to do it?
I'm sure I don't have to. It's kind of like I was a bit tougher than most of the other kids. I felt like I could take the physical poking, but the jeering.
The emotional poking was too much.
This is many years later, though. You know, I can't imagine that any of us would even blink at tusks.
Do you ever want them to stay there?
Like to grow back?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are times. I've seen them. Other metaphors with the teeth. I feel like it's a trait that sort of exemplifies the rougher side of my race. So sometimes I wish I had them, and sometimes I'm glad I don't.
Yeah, well, you know, many of us, our early days are always with us. So I understand.
This is how you see yourself, right?
I think it's how I'd like to see myself.
I mean, it's how we see you.
But I think you would look fine either way for it.
Yeah, I mean, we're too distracted with our own personal damage.
Right.
Yeah.
You saying I should let them grow out?
I'm just saying if you want to, you would look good that way as well. You look good this way, you would look good that way.
Co-signed.
All right, fair. How about you see me picking at them or chipping at them or any of that shit, and you just say the word and I'll stop. He was my mentor, a captain of mine, a man named Vandren.
I've heard you say his name before.
Yes, I haven't seen him in quite some time. I don't know what any of this means, but I was back on shore and I didn't see anything of the ship or him or any of the other crewmates.
Maybe he's alive and you were seeing through his eyes right now.
I would like that.
he's alive and you were seeing through his eyes right now.
I would like that. I would like that very much. He was very good to me, when a lot of people in my life haven't been. But he was holding the sphere. How could he be holding it if I was?
Maybe there's more than one.
I had previously wanted to go north to the Soltris Academy, but I just feel like that's another step in the direction that's not really pressing for right now.
Honestly, it kind of sounds like someone's gonna catch up with us sooner or later looking for whatever's inside of you.
I did tell Molly before we were taken about a crewmate of mine named Sabian. He was the one that ambushed the ship that caused the explosion that threw me overboard, the one that probably sent Vandron to his fate.
Stretches beyond an end, so far from you, too far from you, my friend. Is that the ocean? Crashing waves, calling me home.
I can't leave here without trying.
survived being chained up and tortured. That's gonna fuck with a person, right?
Yeah, it's more the disappointment. I expect better of myself. I let you guys down, I let Jester down, I let Gasha down. I'll never be able to shake this. I'll never be able to shake this. I've been a sailor for many years myself, and was lost at sea during a storm. When I woke up, I found myself on the shore, and there in the waves next to me was this sword. I don't know how I got there, but as soon as I grasped it, it changed everything. I don't want to be focused on this. I want to be focused on that. Plus, I feel like if those events led to this, maybe there's a remedy for the whole thing.
So you wanna find Damien and hope that he has the answers?
Or just kill him. That'd be fine. But yeah, maybe some answers first. You would rid yourself of that blade, these changes in you? I honestly don't know. I've thought about what it was like before I had this, but I also didn't feel like I had the ability to affect my surroundings. I was not a proponent of change. I want to know what happened
can't be in the end. All I do is touch it. You get bound strong. Just like the sea, you will live. Just like the sea, you will live. Throw me in the water, hands me on my back, tied up by your strength, breathing in the water. I'm drowning and floating, breathing in the air. Reminds me of you and me, just like the sea. You and me.
We back. Hi, Cameron. Sorry, did I go off? Did I go take my kids right when you showed up? That's depressing and hilarious. I call it deprarious. Ugh. All right. Yeah. Sorry about that. Hey, what's up, Erica? Morning.
Acknowledgements. As I write this, my country, and to a lesser degree the world, is in a bit of turmoil. For 4 years, we have dealt with the temper of a man whose rhetoric and malfeasance have been the defining features of his time in office. Now my fellow citizens and I have rejected him, an outcome in which I had great hope but little confidence, but he is still fighting to hold his place of power. It occurred to me, as I was in the final stages of finishing this book, that I might be seen to be taking a stand against him in my work and in this story. I want to reassure you, the reader, from the bottom of my heart that this is not the case. Not because a stand should not be taken against him, it should, but because since the beginning of my career I have aspired to Tolkien's cordial dislike of allegory. Yes, the real world has bled into this book and the two that came before it. I could not help that. But I wanted to keep the reality of today's horrors as far from these pages as I possibly could. Of all my wishes in life, few things could I have desired less than to validate that man's ego in even so mean a respect as to place him in this tale. If any direct comparison must be drawn between my tale and reality, let it be that ordinary folk, not just the mags of the world, will always unite to cast evildoers back into the obscurity to which they belong. Real heroes are imperfect, they will never satisfy everyone, and on occasion they will fail, sometimes drastically, but that does not lessen their contribution to a better world. This book took me so long because I, like Mag, had a hard time envisioning a future. Now I can. Now there is an after, however murky, however tenuous. To those who brought it about, and to you, dear reader, I hope this book is an acknowledgement. That said, I have to give more direct thanks to a few people. First and last, my wife, Megan. It's been 2 years since I last completed a book. During that time, you've been even more exceptional than normal, and anyone who knows you knows what a compliment that is. My parents still inspire everything I do. My dad passed away a few years ago now. My mom was gone before I put out my first book. Yet I think about them all the time, and whether they'd enjoy and be proud of the work I'm doing. They're still 2 of the top people I'm trying to impress. My children continue to give me purpose. When I'm completely bogged down, I hang out with them, and they never fail to bring me out of it. Most of my favorite parts of this book were born of direct inspiration after hanging out with my kids. If you have a favorite part of this book, you can safely bet money that it's thanks to my children. Karen Conlon is the editor every writer wants but few deserve. Fortunately, I've managed to con her all this time into continuing to work with me. My beta readers continue to provide superlative feedback that makes each book better than I could ever make it on my own. Dakota, Jess, Kristen, Lauren, and Robin, you've helped me see every word of this book in a new light. And considering they all came from my own fingers, that's quite an achievement. I am supremely grateful for every one of my supporters on Patreon. All of you got to read the early stages of this book before anyone else. The fact that you're still around speaks more to your patience than my talent. The VlogaNovel crew continues to shine. Thank you for sticking around for 2 years, holy crap, of inconsistent streaming to get this book done. And last, as she was first, Megan. Every time I finish a book, I think I've run out of words to express how incredible you are. And then I finish the next one, and a whole new litany of your deeds continues to provide inspiration. I love you. Garrett Robinson, November 2020.
Nope, not what I wanted. There we go. Oh my god. So close to being done. Nope. There. Boy, you ever look at a word and be like, that looks like it's got to be spelled wrong. It looks like total letter salad. Acknowledgements. I don't understand that word anymore.
Epilogue. Sun had trouble falling asleep that night. Her mind was so full of thoughts from the day's incredible events that she could hardly close her eyes for a moment before opening them again, replaying the stories in her mind. Eventually, she gave it up and went downstairs. She was not quite sure whether she wanted a drink or to walk around, but she certainly did not want to lie restless in bed, comfortable though it was. She stood in the center of the common room and looked around. A tavern, and she was a one-third owner of it, along with Albern of the family Telfer and Mag the Wanderer. If she could have told herself even a month ago that all this would happen, she would have called herself a liar. Footsteps sounded behind her. Sun turned to find Albern standing there, blinking at her in surprise. "I cannot sleep," said Sun. "Nor can I," said Albern. "I keep thinking about the tavern and about—" Sun glanced at the stairs. "About the story." "Do not trouble yourself," said Albern. "She is asleep. I confess I do not face the same problem as you. My thoughts are still, but simple pain is what keeps me awake." "I am sorry to hear that," said Sun. "Yet I suppose it is a good thing for me. I had a question. There is one answer you promised to give me earlier, but now I do not see how you can. You keep telling parts of the tale from Kaita's perspective, and you said you learned the details later. I thought you must have captured her or interrogated her or something. But Kaita died. So how do you know what happened to her in such detail?" Albern's expression grew dour. Instead of answering, he walked to the bar. Sun followed. Instead of answering, he walked to... Instead of answering, he walked to... Instead of answering, he walked to the bar. Sun followed, plopping down on a stool. Albern pulled 2 large mugs of ale, and then he turned to hand one to Sun. "Have a drink," he said solemnly. He said solemnly. Rogan approached the cave, the Lord at his side. Together they climbed over the boulders and stalked through the darkness of the tunnel. Though it was pitch black, they walked unerringly, as though they knew exactly where they were going. And in fact, they did. Rogan had already seen what he would find here, in this vast, empty cave, and he soon found it. Kaita's body lay face down, twisted in pain. There was a hole through her back, and her blood covered the stone floor. Weeping, Rogan fell to his knees beside her. He took up her hand, cradling it against his cheek, careless of the blood he spread on himself. The Lord stepped up beside him, and then he felt his father's hand on his shoulder. "Why?" said Rogan. "You said you knew why. I know our goals are worthy, more so than anyone else in the 9 kingdoms. But this feels like too high a price." The cave was silent for a long moment. When the Lord finally spoke, Rogan could hear the grief in his voice. "It is a high price. But no price would be too high to pay. The death of any one person, even Kaita, even Tagata, and yes, even you, my favored son, would be worth it in the end if we achieve what we mean to. And yet now we may rejoice. Today we need pay no price at all." Rogan looked up at him in the darkness. "Father?" "Lift her hair, my son." As Rogan watched in wonder, The Lord pulled out a needle, ink, and a small hammer. "Father," said Rogan, "I thought no wizard could receive your gift." "So did I," said the Lord. "But now let us say instead that I never knew how to bestow it upon them, not until I needed it most." His hands were swift and deft as he tapped out a tattoo on the back of Kaita's neck. Rogan had seen it a dozen times before, but this tattoo was different. It did not look like his own, like the design that all the Shadeborn wore. "Can you do this to anyone?" he asked in an awed voice. "Any other wizard, I mean." His mind raced with the possibilities of what this could mean for the coming war. "We shall see," said the Lord. "For now, put her on her back again." Rogan did. The Lord placed his hand on Kaita's chest where the spear had made its mark, and his eyes began to glow with a pure, unrelenting white light. Her body began to convulse. She groaned like a corpse expelling the last air from its lungs. Suddenly the groan erupted into a scream. Like Mag's when she had come back to life, Kaita's back arched, with only her head and pelvis still touching the ground. The scream bounced from the rocky walls and off itself again, becoming painful. Kaita's eyes were wide, and the blood vessels within them split, turning them red. "Hold her, my son," said the Lord, his voice halting with effort. Rogan seized Kaita and held her down. He wished to comfort her, but he knew that was impossible, not until the ritual was complete. And then, finally, her screams subsided. Her body sank back onto the ground, plopping wetly in the blood pooled beneath her. Her blood-red eyes spun, and then finally they focused on Rogan, on the Lord. Her expression held only anguish. "Rogan," she croaked. He scooped her up into his arms, holding her and weeping anew, but this time with joy. And the Lord, though weary from his exertions, stood and placed his hands on them both. Rogan's heart filled with his warmth, with his love. "My children," said the Lord gently. "You see, son, you have already realized that this was not the end of Mag's tale. It was merely the end of the beginning. What we did not know at the time was that another tale had begun as well."
Okay, music time. All right, while the end credits music file opens up, I'm going to use the restroom real fast. Oof. Good lordy. Ugh. No. Excuse me.
This is the end of Stoneheart, but the story continues with Hellskin, the third book in the Tales of the Wanderer. Find Hellskin and all the works of Underrealm at underrealm.net/books. Published by Legacy Books. Written by Garrett Robinson. Edited by Karen Conlin. This is the end of Hellskin. This is the end of Hellskin, but the story continues with Quest, the first book in the Rise of the Necromancer series. Mag's adventure is only beginning,
and she will need the help of other heroes to succeed. Find Quest and all the works of Underrealm at underrealm.net/books. Quest, the first book in the Rise of the Necromancer series. Mag's adventure is only beginning, and she will need the help of other heroes to succeed. Find Quest and all the works of Underrealm at underrealm.net/books. Published by Legacy Books. Written and narrated by Garrett Robinson. Edited by Karen Conlin. Audio editing by Jim Wilborn.
Ugh. Okay. And then we have to pick an audio sample, which I believe we want to be the Debu fight. Chapter 13, you say. Ugh. Oh, I love it when Adobe Audition takes forever to open. Nope, just waiting for Audition to open up the next session. Audition's been having real problems communicating with Google Drive recently, and it's starting to irritate me. What I probably need to do is I probably need to invest in a hard drive bay so that all this stuff can be local, as opposed to keeping it on Google Drive and then downloading it as I need it. Because it used to be that Google Drive would sync pretty accurately, but now they've changed everything to streaming Google Drive or streaming cloud storage, and so it only you can't select to just keep this file local. Or you can, but then Google Drive changes it because it's like, you haven't used this file in 30 days. And I'm like, right, but I told you to keep it local. And they're like, but then you didn't use it for 30 days. And I'm like, well, then why, if that's just the rule, then why did you offer to let me keep it local if you're just not going to do it? It's like, I'm really fucking starting to get fed up with the cloud storage services. Estimated time